Avatar 4105L. Keyless entry, remote start. Alright, this will grow out this mess of wiring. I actually had an alarm system already installed, but I ended up taking it back out. I bought the alarm off of Amazon. It was a decent system, but it was one of those universal units. A lot of the important wires that I feel like I needed it did not come with this unit, and trying to get tech support on it was a nightmare. So I ended up eventually taking it back out and going with the Avatar 4105. Now I wanted to actually use the universal unit because the universal unit, it was an actual alarm system, and the alarm came in with its own built-in door lock relays, so I didn't even have to use the 451 module like I need with this one. It actually had its own built-in relays. But one of the things what ultimately made me decide to take it out was that it does not have a hood pin. So this unit has a hood pin, so if the hood is open, it will not remote start, and that's an important safety feature because you don't want to be under the hood and you lean up against something and then accidentally trigger the remote start, and there goes your fingers. But it also did not have a tack wire. It had an oil path detection wire, which I guess you could use it as a tack wire, or you can just give it a 12-volt source. It did not have a factory disarm button. It did not have a status output or like a negative ignition to power my bypass module, because as you know, this is a 2001 Silverado. It has the Passlock 2 system. So I had to buy a bypass system. This is a Fortin Passlock SL2 version 2. So I needed something to actually let this module know that it was being remote started, and I had to go to the 12-volt and get advice on how to wire it up using relays, and I got that working. But then I have run into another issue later on down the road, which caused me to just scrap the whole idea, and I took it back out and I went with the Avatar 4105. Now the thing I don't like about the Avatar is it has the features that I want, but this particular unit is only a keyless entry / remote start. In the future, I plan on going back with an actual alarm system, because I plan on keeping this truck for a while and making some upgrades to it. But as for right now, this is just going to be a basic install for a Avatar 4105 keyless entry / remote start system on a 2001 Chevy Silverado. I did go ahead and do a little bench prep. These are all the wires that I will not be using on this system. I'll do a separate video detailing which wires I need, but I noticed that a lot of these alarm systems, when you open up the boxes and you see all the wiring, it does look intimidating, but figuring out which wires you need and which wires you don't need will make this install a lot easier. Because out of this 9 wire harness right here, I'm only using 4 of the wires. So that was a good thing, and I actually had it wired in to this is the 451 relay. This is for the door locks. This truck actually has positive style locks. They are type A locks, and this remote start unit actually has negative locks. So I have to have this to convert the signal over so it'll work with my doors. And I'm actually going to also use a relay. This relay I got this relay off eBay. There was a pack like of 5 or 6. Got it for like $10 off eBay. This is going to be a how-to video on how to install a remote start system onto a 99 to a 2002 Chevy Silverado that would include the GMC Sierra.
And the parts you're going to need, of course, is the remote start unit. You can use the CompuStar, Crime Stopper, Viper. For this scenario, I'm using the Avatar 4105L. You're going to also need a bypass module because this vehicle has the Passlock 2 anti-theft system. And you can use the Fortin, the iData Link, the D-Ball. For this install, I'm using the actual, it's called a Fortin Passlock 2. You're going to need a 451 door lock module because the remote start systems, all the newer ones, have negative unlock triggers, but this truck actually has positive locks. They're type A locks. Or you can use two relays to accomplish this, and if you need the wiring diagram, you can get those from the 12volt.com. You're going to need a multimeter to verify all the wires, make sure everything is correct, that nothing's been changed, and you're also going to need an additional relay, single pole double throw relay, and you're going to need the wiring schematics for the Silverado. All right, and this is just the wiring schematics, and as you can see, it'll tell you the actual part that it works, the color of the wire, and the location. And I went ahead and marked out everything that I'm not going to be using. Um, there is one section right here where it says accessory 2 not available, but we are going to be using accessory 2 to actually power the relay. But I've actually marked out everything I'm not going to need. No starter 2, no ignition 3, does not have key sense. It actually has the option for negative and positive parking lights. We're going to be using positive. The unit does have a jumper that you can select between positive and negative, and you would need to set that for positive for this install. The door triggers, I put an asterisk beside this. We don't really need the door triggers for the keyless entry or the remote start, but if you were installing an actual alarm system, you would actually need the door triggers. You would have to hook that up, and you would also have to isolate the door trigger, because if you don't isolate it, you'll only have protection on the driver's side door. So if somebody went around to the passenger side, the alarm would not go off. We're not going to be using dome light supervision. There's a truck, so there's no trunk release. There's no sliding door. We're not going to be using the wait to start feature. And again, the ignition 2 wire, I highlighted this one because it has to be hooked up. If you don't hook up the ignition 2, you will get a transmission fault code, and it could actually damage the transmission. And this is your actual accessory 2 wire, this thick brown wire. And these are just some additional notes that are needed. I mean, they basically give you some hints. The first one, it says this vehicle uses GM's Passlock 2 anti-theft system that requires a 791 bypass. Again, we're not going to use a 791. We're using a Fortin Passlock 2. That's what we're going to be using. You can use a data style, but I just decided to go with the Passlock 2. Other notes, it tells you where the BCM is located, the body control manual, and it also tells you about these are the door triggers. It's the tan wire. But again, this is a remote start / keyless entry, so we're not going to have to use the door triggers. All right, and this is just a little bench prep. This will make the job a little easier. I went ahead and marked off all the wires that I'm not going to need. So out of the H1 harness, the primary harness, there are 9 wires, and out of the 9 wires, we're only going to be using 4. We're not using the factory alarm rearm, not using ignition out to alarm, activation input, ground when locked, or the trunk release. We're only going to be using the factory disarm, the horn output, the chassis ground, and the light flash. All right, as for the rest of the harnesses, the first will be the door lock or the 3-pin white connector. This pin right here can actually be substituted because the 451 bypass module is also a directed item. It's the Avatar and the 451, they're both directed items. So this will actually plug right into that spot. So you don't even have to use this one right here, this door lock 3-pin connector. You can use the 3-pin connector that comes with the 451 module. The heavy gauge relay, the white 6-pin connector, we're going to use all 6 of these connectors. The satellite harness, the white 4-pin, we're only going to use pins 1 and 2. This blue status output will power on the Passlock 2 bypass module, and the orange pin 2, the accessory output, will power on the single pole double throw relay. And the remote start harness, the white 5-pin connector, we're only going to use 4 pins. We're not going to be using this the second status output or the rear defogger. We're going to be using the parking brake input, aka the neutral safety. This is an automatic transmission, so this wire can be actually chassis grounded. The tachometer, the brake shutdown input, and the hood pin switch. All right, pin 1, the 30 amp high output 12 volt input. Pin 1 and 3 can be spliced together, and they can be connected directly. They can either be connected to this red 12 volt source or this thick red and white wire. There are actually 2 red and white wires. One's thin and one's thick. The thick one is a high output or a high current 12 volt source, and this is where it's recommended that you actually connect these 2 wires to. All right, we've already dealt with pins 1 and 3. Pin 2, the pink and white wire. This wire will go to the ignition 2, and ignition 2 is going to be our white wire. Again, this is the wire. It says C note number 2. This wire must be connected, or if not, it'll throw an actual transmission fault code. All right. 4, the orange accessory output wire. The accessory wire it's also orange. It's this thick orange wire. 5, purple, goes to the starter output. The starter wire on this one is yellow, so it goes to the yellow wire. And pink goes to ignition 1, and ignition 1 is also pink on here. So you will make all those connections. Preferably, you'll hear different people will tell you different things, but I actually went with the solder method. Some of the wires I actually severed completely in 2 and used heat shrink. The other wires I just used I soldered them, and then I used tape along with zip ties. All right, now back to the primary, the H1 harness. The light green and black wire is your factory alarm disarm. That wire is going to go into you're going to connect that to this purple plug in the BCM. Is going to be pin B3. Is going to be a green wire. Now, you can't see it from this image because it's blurry, but if you look on the edges of these plugs, you'll see the letter B on the top and the letter A on the bottom. And from there, you just count the pins. You can actually see there'll be number. It'll say like B12, 10, 11. You just count the pins that you need. But the light green and black wire is going to be your factory alarm disarm. It's going to be in pin B3. It's going to be a green wire. The next wire is going to be the horn output. The horn output is going to be in the brown plug. It's going to be in pin A9. So it's going to be on the bottom. Again, you would count the pins until you find A9. It's going to be your horn wire. It's going to be a black wire. Now the chassis ground, black, that's self-explanatory. You just ground that to the chassis. Find a good clean surface. It's not painted. If it's painted, you may have to do a little sanding until you get it down to the metal. Then pin number 9, your white light flash. This is your parking lights. This is going to go to the blue plug in the BCM, pin B6, and it's going to be a brown wire. I believe it's actually this wire right here. That's where I've already made the connection at. It's going to be pin B6. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's this brown wire right here. It's pin B6. So just to recap, light green and black, factory disarm. Purple plug, pin B3. The brown horn wire is going to be on your brown plug, pin A9. Chassis ground is chassis ground, which is black. Pin 9, which is the white wire, is going to be on the blue plug, pin B6, and your brown wire. All right, now for your remote start harness, this is your white 5-pin connector. The black white, which is your parking brake input, aka your neutral safety, you can just ground that wire out. The violet and white, or your purple and white wire, is going to be your tack wire, and that can go directly into the white wire on the back of the gauge cluster. You can either hook it to this white wire, or you can go through the firewall and hook it to one of the injectors. I prefer just using this white wire on the back of the gauge cluster. All right, pin 3 is your brake shutdown input. If you look on the back, if you look underneath the steering column, where the brake pedals are, you actually see there is a plug-in that connects directly to your brake pedal. And the white wire is going to be your brake switch. That's what you need to actually control when you push the brakes. If the key is not in the ignition, the truck will shut off. If the key is in the ignition in the run position, the remote start will actually shut down, and that's called key takeover. The hood pin input, this is your hood pin. This must be hooked up in order for it to work. This is a safety feature. And when this right here is touching, the system tells it that the hood is open, so it will not remote start. But when the hood is closed, these two right here will separate, and it lets it know that the hood is actually closed, so it's safe to remote start. And I just mounted mine here. I drilled through right here on the side. This is the driver's side. Installed it right here and hooked my wire up. And I actually went through the main harness in the firewall. And I just ran my wire down, and it connects into the actual hood pin. All right, now for the door lock harness and your 451 module. This is your wiring diagram. It tells you your three pin plug interface. The green is lock trigger, red 12 volt, blue is unlock. This plug may be cut off and discarded for universal hardwire applications. For this application, this plug right here will actually plug directly into the Avatar unit. So we can actually use this. But if you didn't have this option to plug it in, the blue would connect to this blue wire, the green would connect to this green wire, the red would connect to this purple wire. But the blue and black wire is going to be your unlock trigger. Your green and black wire is your lock input, I'm sorry. And your purple and black, or your violet and black, is going to be a 12 volt source. So the connections at the BCM are as follows. Blue and black, your unlock goes to the white wire pin A3 at the brown plug in the BCM. Your green and black, or your lock wire, goes to the light blue wire at pin A4 in the brown plug at the BCM. So blue black goes to the white wire at pin A3. Green black goes to the light blue wire at pin A4. Brown plug is the body control module. And your purple wire will get 12 volts. All right, now for your satellite 4-pin harness, this is where your single pole double throw relay comes in. Your blue wire is going to be your status output wire. These wires right here are the actual wires on the harness that comes with the Avatar unit. So your blue wire on the harness is going to go to the blue wire on the Passlock 2. This is your negative while running. This is actually turns on the Passlock 2. The orange wire on the harness of the Avatar is your accessory output, and this is actually going to power on your relay. So the orange wire would actually go to pin 85 on your single pole double throw relay. 87 and 86 can be jumped together, and these are going to get a 12 volt source. 87A is not used, and pole 30 is going to go to the accessory 2 wire. So again, your blue wire on your Avatar harness is going to connect to your negative while running wire on the Passlock 2. The orange wire on the Avatar harness, your accessory output, is going to go to pin 85 on your relay. 87 and 86 gets jumped together and connected to a 12-volt source. 87A is not used. 30 goes to accessory 2, the brown wire. And this is kind of just image of how I wired it. You can't really see it, the red wire too good on this one, but this is the back of the relay. This white wire, this is 85. So remember, 85 goes to the orange wire on the harness. This black wire, this is 30. The blue wire is 87A, it's not used. The yellow wire is 86, and the red wire is 87. The yellow wire and the red wire are spliced together, and these will go out to this red wire right here, which is 12 volts. And this blue wire right here will go to the blue wire on the Passlock 2. Now, as for the actual Passlock 2, I'm going to have to bring up the diagram. This is the Passlock 2, Passlock SL2 version 2. And I just need to scroll down and find my vehicle. See, the solid black is input, the white is output. This remote symbol means connected to the remote starter, and this car symbol means connected to the car. All right. Make the connections of the Passlock SL2, connect to one white. Locate the wiring type. Make the connections. Okay. I have a Chevy Silverado 1500. It's a 2001. So the 2000 to the 2007 get schematic number 4. So I need to scroll down and find schematic 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the green wire, the NC stands for not connected. I had to call tech support. Blue, negative while running. Orange, black, data in barrel. Orange is data from BCM. Purple, white, not connected. Purple, not connected. Yellow, black, not connected. Yellow, ignition. Red, 12-volt battery. Black is ground. So the orange, black, and the orange get twisted together. Okay, now let me go back to. Okay, so again, green is not connected. Blue, negative while running. This actually goes to the blue wire on the avatar harness called the status output wire. Okay, the orange, black, and the orange, these two wires get twisted together and they go to the yellow wire at the ignition. Okay. The black or the orange black, that's going to be a negative wire, and it gets grounded. So you can basically just hook the black wire splices into this orange black wire. The red and white do not get used. And the yellow wire is ignition. This will go to ignition 1, which is the pink wire. And that's pretty much it for the Passlock. You're using these two get to it. No, I'm sorry. The blue wire goes to the blue wire on the harness status output wire. The orange black and the orange wire gets twisted together and they go to the yellow wire at the ignition. The black wire goes to the orange black wire at the ignition, and the yellow wire goes out to ignition, which is the pink wire. And that's all you have to hook up for the Passlock 2. Oh, I'm sorry. We actually have one more, and which is the red wire, which is the 12 volt. It gets hooked up to this 12 volt wire here. And that's pretty much it.
I have now made all of my connections that I need to make. The next thing I'm going to do is I have to program the Passlock SL2 so that it knows to bypass the Passlock security system. Alright, now I'm about to program the Passlock SL2 version 2. And to do that, I have to hold down this button and plug in the harness. Now that light's lit up letting me know that it's ready to program. At this point, I let go of the button, Turn the switch on, the light will begin to flash. Now crank the truck. Now the pass lock is programmed. I have made all the necessary connections. I got the hood pin hooked up. It's right there. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see it? Yeah, the actual hood pin's actually right there. Now I'm going to remote start it. I'm going to show you the actual key fob works. That's unlock, lock. Alright, now the asterisk is the actual remote start feature. So it crunked right up, and I'm going to unlock the door, get in. The the Passlock 2 bypass module is actually lit up. It is actually doing its job. Now I'm going to tap the brakes. Now it should shut off because the key is not in the ignition. Alright, so we know that's everything's working right. So now I'm going to do it again. Remote start. Enter the vehicle. Now I'm going to do key takeover. Put the key, turn to the run position, step on the brake. Alright, the remote start is now shut down and it is now in key takeover mode. So that's pretty much it. This install took me a minute because I kept having to stop and go do stuff. But yeah, I am a DIY guy. I got any information I needed, any help I needed. I went to the 12volt.com. You're not going to really be able to get any tech support from the actual vendor because they only want authorized installers to put these things in. I guess it's a liability issue. But again, I got all the information from the 12volt.com. And that's pretty much it. That's all I needed. I was looking for a basic remote start system because it's getting cold here in Georgia, and I wanted to be able to crank my truck up and get it warm instead of having to just hop in it and wait. But yeah, this was a pretty straightforward install. And again, this is DIY Dog 83, and have a good day.